10 video game theories that will definitely blow your mind. As with anything in this era, games have always been covered with theories. Sometimes these theories are just lies, but also there are some things in games that have actually asked for this kind of questions and theories. Theories come basically from the urge to explain certain things that the game itself has been really vague about. For example, the fact that Mario Bros opens up with a rising curtain and objects in the surreal Mario world reflect shadows on the wall, as if it was in a school play, gave rise to the theory that Mario Bros 3 was staged, which ironically enough ended up being the truth. Strap in real carefully because today I'm gonna be showing you the 10 game theories that will definitely blow your mind. Pokemon is one of the most sold games in history. With more than 300 million units sold, it's hard to find a single person who didn't play a single Pokemon game in its era. Pokemon games are basically classified in 8 generations. The first generation being the first games, Pokemon Monsters Red and Green, Pokemon Monsters Blue, and Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and the list goes on and on and on. Well, there is an interesting fan theory out there that says that years before the events of the first generation games, there was a huge and devastating war that killed most of the adults in the universe, which is why the main character, the rivals, and essentially most of the characters in the game don't have fathers. Plus, the theory gained even more power and support among the populace when we see that most of the characters in the game are either elders or kids. And to put the cherry on top, at one point in the storyline, we talk to one of the few adults in the game, the Lieutenant Surge, who tells us that he was saved by an electric Pokemon during the war, which if you ask me, this concludes the theory as true. This theory is definitely a shady one that gives you goosebumps, honestly. Bloodborne is without any sort of doubt one of those games that has actually been cemented in the game industry as a pure classic already. Even though I know it came out in 2015, the storyline, the gameplay, and the graphics made a great combination and probably created one of the best, if not the best, role video game of this generation. But if you've played this game, you know that you'll heal yourself with healing blood through transfusion. But have you ever wondered where this blood comes from? Any idea? Any suggestions? Please feel free to express your opinion in the comments. I don't know about you, but I definitely have. Well, there is a theory about the Bloodborne's blood origin that's honestly gonna make you a little pukey, to say the least. If you pay close attention, all the blood vials come from women. No man in the game ever gives you blood. All the blood comes from the healing church and women like Sister Adela. And at one point in the game, one of the women, Ariana, doesn't give you her blood because she becomes pregnant. And the old lady is also unable to give you her blood as well. According to the theory, this is because the blood is menstrual blood. Yes, like you're hearing it right now. It makes complete sense because when women become pregnant, they don't have periods, and old women, due to the menopause period, don't have them as well. So it all lines up. When only adult women give you their blood, you know, that's an unexpected theory, isn't it? Kirby is a game that has been very much known to have a dark side behind its cute and innocent mask. The adorable game first came out in 1992 for the Game Boy and went on to sell millions and millions of copies thanks to its family-friendly gameplay. But how family-friendly is it really? Is that pink adorable ball something else? Something a little bit more naughty? Well, in this theory, we're going to be focusing on the 6th game of the franchise, Kirby 64, specifically on the level 5 Shiver Star mission. The theory goes as follows. Right when we complete the level 4, a new level opens up with a select screen that went under the radar for so many years. We can see a planet with a sphere orbiting around it of about 1/5 of its size, like our moon. And if you look even closer, you can even see our continents: America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, which basically alludes to the fact that this indeed is our Earth, but covered in somewhat of an ice age or post-apocalyptic future. And if we move to the gameplay, it's even darker. In Shiver Star, as opposed to other missions, you walk and play on a snowy landscape filled with trees, mountains, and plains. So having clear that this is indeed our Earth, you would think that you would find human beings in this game. Well, not even one human being appears in this mission. Not one. You go into malls, nobody. You go into factories, no humans. This space is basically implied that there were once human beings living here, but no longer are. This, with the winter weather of the mission, basically creates a theory that Kirby is walking on the remains of a nuclear disaster that erased all human life from the planet and caused a nuclear winter. This is also why all the robots in the mission are malfunctioning and everything is empty. The humans were here, but now they went extinct. Only a few games have actually succeeded in making everyone poop their pants while playing them. In my honest and humble opinion, no game has ever upped the standards of Manhunt and the one and only Silent Hill. I mean, the first Silent Hill games, in my opinion, are the best scary games in history, no doubt about that. The storyline and the gameplay really immerse you in that world and made you follow the story with such fervor that you really felt like you were in that movie as a character inside that freaking game. game. But the best out of the Silent Hill franchise, in my opinion, is the second title. It's the masterpiece. The storyline revolves around the character Mary Shepard, who calls you to Silent Hill in a letter. She suffers from a horrible disease that disfigured her face completely and caused her hair to fall out completely as well. She can't even move or walk, and she's verbally obscene and abusive and rude. But even with this disease, she lives 3 more years until her husband James kills her by suffocating her with a pillow. For years, people speculated on the remains of Mary because the game never told us about the remains. But the theory says that he hid her in the trunk of his car. The car that you see in the beginning of the game? Yes, well, Mary's remains were there in the trunk of the car the whole time and nobody knew. Masahiro Ito, the art director of the game, has a similar ending for Mary. He says that her body was in the back seat, but it makes more sense that she was in the trunk because James drives the car later on and we can't see nobody in the back. When you know the reality of the situation, you look at that spooky car in a different way. With the sudden boom of the game Fall Guys, people have asked so many questions about these weird characters and have come to many theories regarding what these creatures actually are. What are these creatures really? This is the main question that the whole internet is asking right now. Well, the first theory is that the characters are actually robots controlled by human beings from the inside. This one gained even more support when people started connecting the dots between the way they walk and the fact that when you fall, they die because the person inside them dies as well, and the robot stops working. That's a little bit of a stretch, I'm not gonna lie about that, okay? That's going too far with the stretch. And another theory, which was even shared by the official page of Fall Guys, is that they have a weird lore skeleton inside them that creeps you out every time you look at it, honestly. And apparently they have a height of 6 feet, and this is how they would look like next to a human being. You're gonna look at them differently after watching this, aren't you? With 200 million copies sold, Minecraft is without a doubt the most sold game in history. Who would have thought that a pixelated game would make it this far? Turns out that graphics aren't everything in this world. The gameplay is basically the basis of the game's success. It doesn't have crazy graphics or a perfect story mode, but the gameplay is, you know, almost immaculate. It was able to reach into every kid's heart and spark a fire within them that was the cause of the game's success. But something about the game that's literally frozen the body of every person that's played it since the beginning is the cave sounds. Absolutely terrifying sounds that have no explanation whatsoever. You're just mining casually one day and you start hearing them as loud as a trumpet. Why? Why are these sounds? Where are they coming from? People on the internet have many theories about the sounds. Well, the first one is actually a predictable one in the Minecraft world, is that whenever you hear the sounds, Herobrine is coming after you and ready to kill you. Since Herobrine is a speculated creepypasta that's been there since the beginning, like the cave sounds, you know, it really gives the theory a lot more power. But another theory is that Steve is actually in a coma, specifically in a vegetative state. Everything that happens in Minecraft is a long-lasting dream that his mind projects, and the cave sounds are just outside noises of the real world getting into his mind and projecting them as part of the dream world. Choose the one you like the most, okay? In 1993, Nintendo released the first Star Fox game for the SNES. Star Fox is a spaceship shooter that focuses on the tale of a humanoid fox by the name of Fox McCloud. He's the main character and he has to try to put down Andross, a crazy scientist that wants to take over the Lilat system. The Star Fox franchise has been one of the most loved franchises of Nintendo, and since then, this game has been amassing a loyal fan base across the world that didn't think twice about making a theory about this game. The main theory says that McCloud and his partners chopped off their own legs to replace them with iron legs. Now, this theory sounds a little bit dumb, but it has 2 strong bases on the matter. The first one is that whenever you look at the characters, they've always had these iron legs. Even if we back it up to the first games and magazines in '93, we can see that they still have these iron legs. They basically had these iron legs since inception. The second point is that they chopped them off to stop the circulation of blood to their legs due to gravity in an attempt to try to avoid losing their consciousness during their spaceship missions. And honestly, you know, these are pretty good backing arguments, not gonna lie. But I think this is the main reason why even the creator flipped the switch and said that they're not only boots. Yes, those were nice boots, huh? Those are not boots. Just try to fool us. Zelda is definitely one of the most loved characters, not only in the Nintendo world, but definitely in the whole vintage and modern world. Zelda, unlike other games, has the ability to bring fresh elements and characters in their new game in a way that 90% of games don't know how to do. This is why it's been able to keep its popularity over the years without touching that aura that it first had. But out of all the Zelda franchises, there was one title that was more obscure than all of the previous and upcoming ones: The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. This game has an obscure obscure story and even an obscure theory. According to many accepted theories, the Link that we see in Majora's Mask is dead. Yes, the theory says that he died when he fell into the tree that later takes him to Termina, the continent where the story develops. Plus, Termina has its own heaven, open fields, and the fact that his horse magically pops out of nowhere to rescue him later in the game. Who explains this? This doesn't happen in the real world unless he was dead and this was all in the afterlife. But if this wasn't somehow enough to convince all of you, at the end of the game, Link rides his horse into the fog with a shot of the sun blazing right towards him, implying that he's going into the afterlife. If you like mystery and dark games that hack into your brain, then Limbo is the game for you. Limbo is a puzzle platform game that lets you play as a nameless kid who till this day we don't know anything about. He wakes up in the middle of a forest one day on the edge of hell, and the kid has to find his missing sister, and in this quest you have to fight enemies, spiders, avoid traps, etc. Obviously, a game of this nature and story asks for this kind of theories, to be honest. The main theory that everybody holds is that yes, indeed, this guy is in the limbo as the name says, and he won't stop until he finds his sister. But this is not it. The same theory states that the two brothers lost their lives. They're dead after falling from the treehouse shown at the end of the game. They're actually dead and living in limbo. But to reinforce this theory, if you don't believe it, the biggest evidence of this is the scene after the credits, where the kids vanish and we can only see a broken rope ladder and flies flying around them. There are many theories about the ending, but this is the one that makes the most sense. It lines up perfectly with the plot. The flies, the broken ladder, the kids are definitely dead. Well, it wasn't gonna take long until the most popular game out there right now had its own game theories. Among Us has been the most downloaded mobile game of the entire 2020. And honestly, he gave us a little break from this exhausting 2020. The game is all about finding the imposter within your team. You fake tasks, conversations, everything to make the other people in your team trust you when in reality you're killing them from within. You're the imposter and vice versa. There is many theories about Among Us, but the main ones are this. The first theory says that the characters in Among Us have one single bone that holds them firm. This is the main reason why when you slice them off, their whole body crumbles. Another story says that they are the half of the Teletubbies. And to be honest, it makes a lot of sense. If you take off everything above their patches and remove their hands, you get a perfect Among Us character in real life, not gonna lie. Regardless, the most interesting of all these theories is related to the Among Us pets. A lot of people have wondered what happens to those pets once their owners get sliced in half. Well, obviously as a pet, the pet is gonna be waiting for the owner to come back according to the theory, which it will never happen because the owner is dead. The more positive outcome is that the winning crew will adopt the pet and take care of it. But if the imposter gets to kill every crewmate, the outcome for the pet is disturbing. The parasite would kill both. And well, that's been it for today, my dudes. I really hope you liked this great but disturbing video game theories. If you did like them, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one, guys. Peace!